What up, everybody? Welcome to Necessity versus Commodity. I have an amazing guest today. Somebody I've known for a long time, someone I call a dear friend. If you know him as MVM, the amazing Marc Von Musser. Marc's been in the space for a long time. He has a military background, worked with some top gurus like Tony Robbins, helped explode their business. The last few decades, he's actually probably helped 3,000 to 4,000 entrepreneurs, business owners, people actually to develop the mindset, the mental skills, the ability to unleash the light they have inside themselves. He kind of coins it as being a light warrior. He's very well versed in sales. Did that for Tony Robbins, for a lot of people. And so, everyone, welcome Marc Von Musser. Marc, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm blessed, grateful, and excited. I'm really excited to be here and about the new shifts that are coming in 2024 and the growth and the awakenings that are happening. So I'm fired up.
Awesome. Let's start there. I don't need, we don't need to talk about your. I mean, you attribute probably over $1 billion worth of sales, right? Like in your
Yeah.
career. So we
So
don't need to talk
not
about
just
that
career,
though.
last few years and coaching alone. Yeah, I would say
Beautiful.
we're in the multiple billions in terms of whether it's real estate, what I helped Tony do, and other companies, and we're closer to probably 5,000 to 6,000 businesses in the last few years alone, and really helping them really speak their truth in an authentic way and help them get new clients, expand their businesses, well over 1 billion in just that alone.
That's amazing. You know, it's absolutely amazing when you talk numbers. People talk online space numbers all the time.
I know.
To know that I've watched you and your career, who you are. I've coached with you. You're someone I call a friend. It's so amazing just to catch up with you. Knowing that how many people you've impacted, I've seen it, right? I've experienced it myself. Right now, like starting today, talking about 2024 going forward, what's going on
Sure.
in your life?
Okay, so here's the thing, and this is a catch 22. But a calm sea never made a great sailor. And so one of the things that we really have focused on, I'll go back to COVID, and when I just spent many years helping build businesses, but when COVID happened, we were coming up into a lockdown, and I had a great conversation with our team, and we said, "Hey, listen, this is happening. Okay. We can sit there and put our head down. All of our competitors across the board said, you need to shut down, stop your business, hunker down. We said, no, we're going to stand tall during the storm. And we got everybody in our group. We have had a mastermind of about 50 business owners. Every single one of them stepped up to the challenge and had their best year ever during the lockdowns. Now, the
Beautiful.
question is how? Is that first we got their mindset right. We had to shift that this storm is happening. You don't run from it. You prepare for it. You serve through it. So once we got their heads on straight, and by it's not a knock, I mean, it's scary shit happening. I was looking at Breitbart this morning and just like everything is like, you've got to be kidding me. But what that does is it gives more uncertainty in the market, which also will amplify anyone's pain. If they have relationship pain, it will be enhanced. It's going to fracture. If they have physical pain, it's going to be amplified. If it's business strain, it'll be there.
Powerful.
So what it does is it allows people with a good heart and a great skill set, they can get out there and serve and get clients and serve at a much higher level, make more money than they ever had if they get the pieces in the right order to be of service and help.
That's one thing that I was always really attracted to you from at the very beginning. You know, you talk about being heart centered,
Mm-hmm.
authentic, being who you are, standing in your power. You know, this is me. It's what I coach clients on too, about being unapologetically yourself,
Yeah.
right? And when being an entrepreneur, we get punched in the teeth daily,
Yeah.
right? So if you don't have a strong mindset, like things can go awry. If someone doesn't know who you are, when you bring up talking about being in your heart, go deeper into that for me.
Sure. So one of the things that the whole buying process and the buyer of today is completely different than it was even 5, 10 years ago. What happens if you don't believe me? What do you do when you get spam on your phone? What do you do when you see a telemarketer? What do you do when somebody, you know what? We put up the walls, we block it because we're inundated. So the buyers have been forced to evolve. Well, when you have a lot of acute stress, they stop listening to the chronic noise and they will only focus and fix acute problems. Now, the problem is that if I'm trying to sell you, that's an intellectual process. And most of the processes that are trained out there, it's a posture sale. It's I'm strong, Stop talking so I can close you. So you say this and I'll say this. And it's not working with you, it's at you. Heart-driven sales is really about, I have the honor of being in front of a fellow human being. That's someone's mom. That's someone's dad. They matter, whether or not they work with me or not. That's a fellow human being. If you were going to answer to God for how you showed up to this connection here, how would you show up? So when I finally got that, I tuned out all the traditional sales training and I started to focus on this. How would I treat you if God put you in my life for me to serve? And it shifted the way the conversation started to frame. It shifted the way I showed up. And when I realized that's the greatest gift I get, it's not the money. The money's great, make no mistake. The greatest gift I get is when people say, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You saved my life. You helped me. Please take my money because I need your help. That's a different conversation than me bludgeoning you and beating you up till you buy.
Agreed.
And I wake up to emails every single day saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And even better yet, when I started teaching people, to your point, to trust your heart, forget how everyone else is teaching sales. No offense, they're wrong. And then the old style pragmatists are going to say, well, it sold more. Yeah, but at what cost? That's like going and saying the Wolf on Wall Street sold more, so we should do that. Or Bernie Madoff, we should do that. I don't agree. That doesn't feel good. I want to feel good in what I do. I want to feel good. And if this resonates with you, Scott, and it's going to save your life and change your life, let's work together. And if not, how can I help you get what you need? And so by shifting that and really moving into the heart, how I want to be treated, the golden rule going all the way back there, that's what I started doing and teaching and really refining to show people how to do that. And it requires some faith. This is different than all the traditional sales that's taught.
Yeah. And, I learned a lot from you, going through, working with you, doing some coaching, those pieces, and I'm always a firm believer in a sales call. Everything that you say to somebody, it's garbage.
Yeah.
Whatever they tell you is truth to their perspective.
Correct. Coping mechanisms and stories to keep the pain. And that's how they got there.
Yeah. And so if you don't have those open conversations, don't know how to open them, good luck, right? Like Correct. It's not going to happen. You can do a million things to overcome an objection at the end. If you can't get to the real thing, you can try to, like, to your point of beat somebody. It's never going to happen. And, I've spent years, just like you have, kind of studying sales, getting good at it, understanding the psychology, the actual components that make people make a commitment and a decision. And most scripts that people follow don't do that. And that's where a lot of people struggle, especially in the online space. It's one of the, you talk about the people that you work with and you building a legacy and helping people actually build a legacy. It's one of the reasons why I now work with online business owners to help them with their marketing strategies, tactics, all of those pieces, because so many people are telling them the wrong things, or teaching them the wrong things. Just because it worked for them or somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for them. And I see so much marketing, so much sales stuff out there in the online space that people are spending 10, 20, 30, $50,000 for to get zero results. And so I love your approach and what you do for people. Now, if we take away the skill part, talking about the mindset of an entrepreneur, you spend a lot of time in that area.
Yeah.
And that's so important.
Yeah, the reason why is really, really important, because how you think about yourself, your identity, how you feel about the process, those are beliefs, right? Beliefs are thoughts in our head, which are either true or untrue based on the evidence we have for a specific belief. Good. For example, if I have a belief that salespeople are slimy, and you're not wrong if you've had a lot of slimy salespeople, but if that's your identity, that if I am a salesperson, I'm slimy, I'm pressure, I'm disrespected in the community, if those are there, that is going to activate more or less of my actual potential. It will activate less because I'm ashamed. I don't feel powerful. And if I use less of my greatness that God gave me, I'm going to take less intelligent action, less inspired action, and I'm going to get a lower, lesser result. And I'm going to show you that it doesn't work. So if I do the opposite, where I say, and I get evidence that, holy crap, I'm going to love people. I'm going to show them the truth. I'm going to speak my truth, and I'm going to work with the ones that want my help. And I do the work on identity, all of a sudden I'm activating. If I know I can win, I will activate more of the greatness that's within me. We all have it. And we all have a superhero and a supervillain. So I activate my superhero. I take a lot of inspired action, a lot of intelligent action, and then I get better results and I spiral up to the goal. And in today's business, guys, as a CEO and an entrepreneur, you are solving problems for profit. Obstacles, challenges are there by divine purpose to weed out the weak and the takers. So every time there's a recession, every time there's a COVID or a big problem like that, it wipes out the weak. It wipes out those that are in for themselves and are not adding massive value. So there's a way to strengthen your mindset because the challenges are coming. And that you asked me about 2024 is going to be riddled with them. If you don't believe me, spend 10 minutes on the news. Go look at Breitbart. Go look at some of the different news sites, and you're going to see the leaders are not leading. These guys are all in it for themselves. And we as business owners are the hope for tomorrow. So, and it breaks my heart, to your point, when I see quality human beings listening to people who are flat out lying, telling you this is how you need to do it. They didn't make that money for 10 years, but you think it's you. That's where I have a problem. Yep. If they would just say, hey, here's what I'm doing. Let me see your real numbers. Let me see what really works versus you selling me some strategy that doesn't work. But that's where the opportunity is. Yep. What I believe, my core belief is that the human being, the buyer of today, is yearning for truth, authenticity, and love. They want somebody who's going to speak it real, who's going to stand for them and help them achieve their goals. No sales pitch, no fluff, no BS, simply people that are going to be there in your corner and be an advocate for you and help you achieve. Agreed. And that's going to push out a lot of all the guys that are me first, take, lying through their teeth. They're getting exposed left and right.
Yep. When you bring up, everyone has a superhero and supervillain in them. I use my supervillain sometimes to progress me forward too, but my superhero is what has guided me towards doing what I'm doing. Number one, my faith in God and belief in Jesus Christ is my internal compass and, my guide. But when I see the things I see out there, I see people getting bullied.
Taken advantage of. Typical sales too, by the way.
Yeah. And I couldn't handle it, and that's part of coming in and being a superhero of like, hey, the individuals that want true help and not just some gimmick.
Right.
I'm here for you. And I've transformed a lot of people's lives that way, mentally, business-wise, all those pieces. Talking about you building someone's superhero, there's multiple pieces there. I mean, that's kind of a Rubik's Cube when you're talking about an entrepreneur, solopreneur, someone's trying to scale, because that's becoming the best leader.
Right.
The best person showing up for their team. Or if you're doing your own sales calls, because you and I know if your mindset's gone in a sales call, if you have no conviction, no belief, and you have doubts, you're not going to be able to sell anybody.
1000%.
So when you look at like a solopreneur, why is it so important to understand some of the things that you teach somebody to make sure they're successful?
It's a great question, because part of the thing that people don't realize at your core, let's step all the way back before we even thought about business. You're coming out of high school, you're coming into college, you're trying to build your business. By that time, you have had tens and hundreds and millions of hits on you that you're not enough. They're overt, they're subliminal. Like, Scott, you're too short. You're not tall enough. You don't have $1 billion. You don't do this. You didn't go to Harvard. In fact, you didn't go into Harvard. You didn't get into Princeton. And all of these different knocks on us. You're not tall, dark, and handsome. You don't have a hedge fund. You don't have the new G5. You're not hanging out with, and all of these things beating us down. And that's just the subliminal ones. And women get it too. You're not tall enough, pretty enough. You don't have the right color. You need to buy your new makeup. You need the new clothes. Those are subconscious slams to try and get you to buy their goods, but it's a way by making you feel like crap about yourself. Then there's the bullies. Then there's the well-meaning parents, the ones that want you to do better, and they over parent, let's just say. You need to do this. You're going to be a loser if you don't go to college, and all these different attacks. We're talking tens of thousands that have framed our brain by the time we get ready and our self-image. So what happens when you go take that version of you out into the world? The reason is you're going to get tested. And guess what happens when you get your first denial? You get on the phone and they say, oh, screw you. What the hell are you doing? You're a scum salesperson. You're going to not only feel that, you're going to feel every one of the thousands of you're not enoughs. So what happens? The average person can only do within 3 to 10 sales calls where they get rejected before they mentally quit. Some will do 100 or more, but they're mentally out of the game, to your point, after about 10 no's, because it's not just those no's, it's all the times in their life. So you got to clean that up. But once you do, and there's ways to do it, but there's ways to clean that up so that you walk on the call and you know it is what it is. It's an opportunity to serve and help someone get to the truth. It's an opportunity to help them change the problem. But this is mindset. And it's the same thing. You get your hopes up, you're going to get funding, and it falls apart. Now what? You're excited because you're going to get the lease, you're going to get the business, you're going to get that perfect location at half price, and you lose it. You find out that somebody stole your intellectual property or whatever. So you have to learn how to manage disappointments. But the version of you is critical on who is showing up to do that. And if you don't know how to condition your superhero where he's strong or she's strong, and the supervillain is already fed. The supervillain is already fed. And what happens is people quit far too early. This is the 3 feet from goal. The reason for that is because the supervillain has been already fed and is not, it's the dominant thought in your psyche. But we have to flip that. And that's a lot of the work we do. And once I get that shift in them, all of a sudden they're excited about their business. And I'll give you an example. When I started working at the last company, I've done so much work on this, but all of a sudden they got their Facebook ads completely shut down. They lost their account. And I'm like, okay, great. Thanks for the heads up. I'll get the team. And they're like, what do you mean? Did you hear me? Our ads got shut down. I said, not a problem. We're going to focus on referrals and building our own internal strength. And we're going to do this. We had one of our best months ever while they were getting the Facebook ads on, because I didn't look at it as anything else other than the latest obstacle. And when you realize we solve problems, and the more you can do it, the more effective. The number one reason why Elon Musk, I don't care if you like him, hate him, or don't even know who he is, he can handle much more than you and I can. It's why he's a multi-gazillionaire. I saw this with Ted Turner. Ted Turner had Ted Turner Broadcasting, TNT, and the guy was one of the early billionaires in America. And he was on Phil Donahue's show, and he's sitting in the couch like this. And Phil goes, you need to come up with $3 billion by Thursday or you're going to lose everything. And he was all smug. And it was really interesting watching him. And he just goes, I'll figure it out.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm literally watching this going, what the hell? The dude needs to come up with $3 billion. There aren't a lot of banks that are going to say, here you go. But what he did was he was so connected. His strength internally was so strong about handling problems. It was just the next level challenge. And sure enough, he sold off the old movies from TNT. He got it, and he did it. I'm like, holy moly, that's available for everybody, not just Ted and not just Elon.
And one of those, tactics that you taught me back in the day, kind of helping with that, writing out a 50 stack.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden over the last 2-3 years, you see people like Alex Hormozy talking about do so much and stack so much evidence, right? It's a 50 stack. You're stacking evidence. You have people like David Goggins, like, you got 75 hard. You have all these people all teaching that same thing of a tactic that you taught me way back when, which is giving yourself so much evidence, to your point, that you can somebody can sit there. You need $3 billion in the next 48 hours. 99% of people on the planet give up immediately and fold. But majority of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs that you've worked with, at some point in their business, they had something happen in their life, personally or professionally, that if they didn't have you, they would have lost it all.
Oh, yeah.
And that is so not talked about in this space. It's all just about marketing or use this certain tech or this certain tactic, not realizing that's one small piece of this overall equation of you being successful.
Yeah.
The struggles you see an entrepreneur go through, why do they need someone like
in their corner
that's going to coach them? Yeah, and in their corner is exactly.
So there's a lot. It's such a good point, Scott. So there's a couple things on that we all have it. I can think of one young man. He had just gone through the suicide of his best friend, and I mean they were like brothers. And this was his person was the one that helped him become a coach and wanted to change the world and got him to believe in himself. but he had too much stuff. And unfortunately, like 22 people a day commit suicide that they're the military veterans. And there's far too many things that are happening. So here's what happened. We focused on serving the human and helping him kind of connect to that, to grieve, to move through the grief, but not lose sight and connection. And what happens is we all wobble. We will all have our faith tested. And when in those key moments, most people quit because they're alone and they internalize it. They don't want to come across as weak. And what happens is it wipes them out of the game. And so a big part of that, that's pretty common, where we were one of the first ones to ever have mindset coaching in a business program, because what happens in life out there was affecting you here and on the business. And to your point on the breakthrough call, even in your marketing, it's felt. You might not logically know it, but it just doesn't have the same appeal. So what happens is it's critical to have somebody in your corner. Think about Tiger Woods. He doesn't have one coach. When he was at his best, he had like 6 or 8 coaches. He had a mindset coach. He had a putting coach. He had a swing coach. He had a prep coach, a recovery coach, because he understood he needed outside input to get him back on track and bring out the best in him. It's the same reason why football teams have a coach up in the booth. He can see the whole field. He can see patterns. That's a lot different than when you got 6 uglies coming at you that are 400 pounds each and are trying to kill you. You're not thinking about where the receiver is. You're trying not to get killed. So that can feel like that when you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur and you don't have that evidence coming back in your ear. Now, you also said something about the 50 stacks. The work needs to be done before the call. The work needs to be done before the challenge. And most people don't. It's like they call their coach or their therapist once they're facing divorce, once they found out they're facing bankruptcy. You want to use your assets and the people to support you quickly. And the only thing I would say is a word of caution here is do not pick your mentor or your coach on ego. What happens a lot of times is that a lot of these people are, I call it Nike coaching. Well, Scott, just do it. Don't be a baby, man. Just do it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the coaching level is not much more than that. And that's not going to get it done. You need somebody that, number one, absolutely cares for you and will be an advocate. Somebody that has a proven track record with all sorts of different people, and they don't just bounce the minute it's not about the money. So I would say be very selective, but you absolutely need a voice in your ear and somebody at your back to prop you up when you're having a tough time.
100%. And it's one of the reasons why I really only work with people for the most part one-on-one. Going back to my fitness days, right? I didn't invent a push-up. I didn't invent a squat. I didn't invent dieting or running, any of those type of things. And if someone was coming in to lose 100 pounds, it wasn't because they didn't know what a push-up or a squat was or running.
Or where the gym was. Right.
Right. It's all up here, and the science talking about if you take 2 people, one's obese and one's extremely athletic, you switch their brains, the bodies will eventually go
right back to it.
Brain was, right? And that's a powerful thing. And that's why so many people do it. And I thought you brought up something very unique, saying you should have that person in place before the problem starts. It's one of the biggest issues that we see in society right now. We wait until the bad news happens before we try to solve it. Now it's almost too late, right?
That's correct.
Now, one of the things looking to, and why it's important, because again, with a lot of the people I know that you've worked with in the past, people I've worked with in the past, people that you work with currently, people I work with currently, there are a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs out there that they're stuck in crap. And the only thing they can see is one little spot in front of them. And they think what they're doing is right. They think what they've been taught is right. They can't see anything else around. They've got blinders on because the whole world's crumbling in. So one of the reasons why to do something before it's an issue is, number one, you can be putting skill sets, assets, mindset.
All
of these pieces in place. You're building it as you're becoming successful. You're scaling yourself. So then you can go scale a business. But I see so many business owners in a really bad spot, and they're trapped there. What would you tell an entrepreneur if they're in a really bad spot and they're not seeing the fact that they need to pivot or make a change in what they're doing because they're just stuck in quicksand?
It's actually really simple. Look at the fruit on the tree. Are you scaling and growing, or are you stuck? Are you flat, or are you going backwards? That's just the real truth.
Yep.
And what cracks me up, and that's the same criteria I throw out to people too, when I hear that the gurus, we've had people copy our websites and they didn't even change the metadata, and they were big in the blogging days, and now they're trying to pretend they're a social media expert and all this stuff. and it's unfortunate. That's on them. That's going to be their karma. But I want people listening to this that the challenges and the bumps are coming. It is unavoidable. It's called life, and it's going to be a bumpy ride. If you have somebody who's been through it 1,000 times, it's no big deal. Scott, here's what we're doing. Like we did with the people in COVID. Hey guys, people have more uncertainty. They're going to be more stressed out. It's going to create more opportunities to scale your business if you will get out there and serve more. And you have to be bold. And we walked them through a process over and over again. And every single one of them served more people and had their biggest year ever during the lockdowns, even an event planner, for God's sakes.
Yep.
So that's because it's like, you want to know. And it's like, if I was in the Navy, but let's just say, for example, you get dropped in, you're in the middle of the Middle East, you're in the middle of Africa or Russia or Ukraine, and you're trapped in a building. And you have to go through the most insane minefield that's out there. Do you want to go out there with the SEAL member and an EOD, explosive ordnance destroyer, who can spot him a mile away? Or do you think you can wing it? And that's what happens. To a Navy SEAL or a bomb squad expert, it's no problem. They know what to look for. They know how to get around it. They know where not to step, what to step, and it's simply following an expert. That becomes critical in this type of market. It is not a luxury. The biggest mistake, I was the director of coaching and sales training at Tony Robbins. We had probably 5,000 clients working with us. And what happens, guys, is most people, the most successful people, all had a coach. And they get a coach before the problems happen. If you wait till the end, to your point, it's like, hey, I'm driving off a cliff. What do I do? It's too late. You want to know the cliff is coming. And all of us have a greatness within us. That's something I want your listeners to hear. You all have greatness within you. But if you apply the wrong strategy at the wrong time, you're going to meet with demise. If you apply the right strategy at the wrong time, you're still going to fail. You need the right strategy at the right time, and generally a great mentor, a great coach who's seen it 1,000 times. To them, it's just called Friday. It's like, hey, we deal with this all day long. It's the first time you've seen it. When you're online marketing and someone posts a negative post, I watched one post knock someone out of the game for 2 months because they weren't plugged in.
Crazy, isn't it?
Because their self-image, oh my God, what are they thinking? People are going to not want to work with me. Oh my God, I can't do it. Cost them $40,000 a month times 2. That's $80,000 loss till it came to our attention. We cleaned it up and they got right back.
Yep.
So that stuff's real.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, and I think that's one thing that, that really bothered me in the online space too, is so many really good individuals out there. They weren't developing themselves. And so good luck. Your business isn't going to be successful no matter what strategy or tactic you use. But they weren't able to pivot. They weren't able to grow themselves. So therefore, they couldn't do that in their business either. And one of the things when I'm working with a client, you kind of to your point, some things are going to work perfectly some of the time. Other times, it's not good. And everyone's offer, everyone's business, personality, all of these are different variables. And what you're offering the world, you can say you can price at $50,000, but is the world going to value it at that? And a lot of people are being told certain things that are incorrect, or using a strategy that's not ideal for them. And that's where, when I meet with somebody first, we do a deep dive into their business, really look at what their goals are, what their business are. Because also a lot of people in the business, in online space, hey, you're going to make $100,000 a month, and that's what they want. But in reality, they don't. They want to work a couple hours a day. They want free time. They want to change some people's lives. They want to teach something, give something out. The $100,000 is the marketer's dream to get you to buy into their program. It's one of the things I hate more than anything. And very often I see entrepreneurs have a goal that was never theirs. Therefore, you're never going to reach it. Therefore, you're never going to be happy.
Right. You're not in alignment with it. It's not yours.
Yeah. And it's going to destroy you mentally. And it's one of the things that I've loved watching you work. The other thing is, everybody, this is a testament to you, Marc. You as a man, personally and professionally, any person I've ever met that knows you has been an amazing person. Always speaks so highly of you, is someone that normally you can trust their word, trust their actions. And that's a hard thing to find, especially in the online space. There aren't many people that I've met, and me having my own business, I try to operate to make sure that I know that someone would say the same thing about me that I just said to you. And it's one of the biggest gifts you've given to the world. And that speaks so strongly about who you are and what you've done for changing people's lives. So I can't thank that enough for who you are. And I hope some
Thank you.
people got a bunch of these nuggets so far. Now, let me kind of ask a question here real quick. Um, what are you doing with people currently? Or what's the plan like
Right.
this month or 2024?
Well, there's a big truth stacking and wrapping it up, and I'll explain it. But your business and your profit and your lifestyle will never outgrow your mindset and what you're doing, right? That's just the truth. People don't realize it, but I've worked with thousands and thousands of businesses, help people make hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm not about the money. I'm about helping people find their greatness. So I'm about to launch 111 Days to Greatness. And it's a program that's going to be 111 days. We're going to meet 3 times a week, and we're going to really focus on harnessing and pulling out what is your greatness? What is your purpose? And this is something I've done for people at very, very high amounts of money when I was private coaching and consulting and working with Tony and a few people. But it's like, what's the difference between setting a goal and actually achieving one? What's the difference, and what are those roadblocks and those blind spots that I can't see? So what I was put together was everything I've learned in 40 some years of studying human development and manifesting and creation and helping people find that greatness. And so that's really what we're launching. It's 111 Days to Greatness. And my friends were like, oh my God, you could charge 100 grand for that 10 grand. I said, no, this is meant. There's too many people suffering and struggling right now and living below their greatness. So I was like, I want to give something back to good people. I want to see good people win. I'm tired of the Bernie Madoffs and the con men win. I want heart-driven people who are going to love their fellow man. And I want you to be wealthy because that means you served a lot of people. So that's really what the genesis of 111 Days to Greatness. And we're launching it on January 20th. And I'm doing it for $111. I'm
What?
doing it I know, $111. Not a week, not a
Wait,
month, but for the whole thing. And arguably, I've coached people and we've sold more in the high ticket space than arguably anybody on the planet. So there's a reason why I wanted just enough skin in the game so you pay attention. I don't generally like doing the low ticket because it's not, but I want to recreate the community. I want to recreate a community where you're supported, where you're seen, where you have the strategies you need, and have somebody like we talked about, that mentoring, that greatness that can pull out your greatness until you own it. My purpose is very clear: to help others identify, inspire, and awaken the greatness within until they own it themselves. So this is going to be 111 days of fun, but really getting people so 2024 is their greatest year of their life. And that's the turning point. And you've seen me do it. I do it, have done it for a lot, but it's usually a whole lot more. I wanted to give back to the people again, because collectively, guys, here's the truth. It's bumpy out there. Far too many. 300,000 people are going to die of drug overdoses or heart disease and obesity. 30,000 people are going to die of drug overdose. Those are all disconnection of purpose. When somebody's an addict, it's because they're disconnected from purpose. When somebody commits suicide, they're disconnected from their greatness. I want to flip that. I want to create an army of 144,000 light warriors who own their greatness and their light and will use it to make the world a better place. I'm going to be fine. God's taking care of me. I'm going to do great in my other businesses, et cetera. But this is something I'm going to do just as a way to give back. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I appreciate you, Scott, speaking on my behalf. I'm not one of the guys. I speak what I believe, and I'm unapologetic. I'm unsupervised. I'm unscripted, and I am unstoppable. And we're going to liberate everybody that wants to have their best year. And we're going to get them back in alignment, get them through this, and make sure that they're ready for 2024 and beyond. So that's what I'm up to.
I got a question.
Yeah.
You take cash?
Yes, I'll take cash.
So when do
Yeah.
you launch? I can't believe you said
January 20th.
$111 for 111 days.
I'm doing a launch party on Friday, and how people can find out more is I have a free Facebook group. We just launched it. If you go to Light Warriors, and again, if you go to Scott's page, you'll see Scott's a member of it. And if you want, reach out to me and I'll send you the link to it.
And I'll put it when I post this too. So it will be there too. So
and my free group people, and Scott, you know this, it's like I'm not one of those quote unquote gurus that don't respond and whatever. I talk to people that I haven't coached for 10, 15 years, and I'm still helping them on Facebook. You know what I mean? And it's just, I believe we're in it together, and I'm one person, but you can stop any one person. but you can't stop a movement. You can't stop the truth. You can't stop the light. And when we have 144,000 of us that are doing it the right way, the next generation is going to look and say, oh, I want to do it like that guy because that guy has integrity. Oh, I want to do it like her. She honored me. That's different than the way it's been sold in the past. And it's time to change the game.
And Mark, you said something there that I couldn't agree more with. A lot of people are taught to, hey, find your people, build your tribe. You have built a movement over your whole career.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this thing is going to, I'm still kind of lost for words for $111. And I'm not very lost for words for very often. You are going to have, you've already started a huge movement.
Yeah.
And congratulations to do that. Now you're just pulling that movement and everybody in together. And I think that's absolutely amazing. January 20th, you say it starts?
Yep.
And
Just in a few days.
I was serious when I was trying to hand you cash there. So you definitely have to send me the link.
Yeah.
I'm excited to jump all in. Yeah, I am in the group
So
already.
Scott, let me ask and stack on that too, guys. So here's the other part too. Scott knows me. He has the benefit of knowing me for many years and knows, I am who I say I am and I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. But my whole point of doing this is I want people like Scott, people like you listening. If this message resonates and you trust Scott, you trust me, and it's resonating on your heart, I don't just want to help you. I want you to find out who are the top 5 people you know that need this, who need a group that's going to support them, who's going to help them get them out of their shit, who's going to help them find that light. And they're one distinction away from really blowing up in life. That's what I want. I want people to spread the word and do it because a movement is bigger than any one person. And that's what I want to build is that army of angels, that light warrior army, that mosaic of light. And again, I'm going to be calling on everyone when this resonates and it does it. I want you to share it with other people and let's go ahead and change the world. And we'll get to the business strategies and all that fun stuff too. But we got to get you right and we got to get that greatness out of you. So just make sure we spread the word. That's going to be the key.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more.
So yeah, I'm really excited.
I couldn't agree more.
It's a big year and it's the reason too that I'm doing it because it's like, guys, I know what's coming. Just like in COVID, I knew what was coming. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but that's going to be do 2 great things. Number one, it's going to wipe out all the self-centered, all the old school that are just in it for themselves. They're going to be wiped out, just is. Number 2, the other thing that's great is it's going to call forth a new level of leader. The leaders of tomorrow will be the most aligned, the most congruent, and willing to serve their fellow man. And so that's what I'm doing is I want to activate them. I want to look at the business landscape of the future and look and see heart leader, heart leader, heart leader, heart leader. And those are the ones making the money because they're doing it the right way. And right now, the opportunity in that window is upon us. We don't have time to wait. This is no longer sit in the sideline and hope it gets better. It's going to be bumpy before it gets better, but we are the solution and we got to step up and own that.
Yep. And you just look all through history, right? Like Great Depression, more millionaires were made during a time than any other, right? And so it's time to stand up. And I couldn't agree more about 2024. We all know it's an election year. We all hear the rumblings of all the wars and all the crazy social anxieties that are going through everything's nuts right now. We know that, and we all can see it moving forward. And that's where we need more individuals that actually have the strength mentally, the gumption physically, and the ability spiritually, specialty, whatever it may be, to help change the world and to keep it and make it a better place. And you're one of those leaders, Mark. You truly are. And I can't thank you enough. I know I want to be respectful of your time. I know that you've got meetings coming up and we need to kind of jump off. So I want to say thank you. Is there anything else you want to leave people with?
Yeah, guys, please hear me when I say this, and I've said it before, but God doesn't make junk. If you're not at the top of your game right now, don't let that stop you. Don't confuse where you are. He didn't start with you. And that's the saying, is that God doesn't make junk and he didn't start with you. But don't confuse where you are right now with what you can have in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And there's too many people suffering and struggling. So right now, guys, let's get you rocking and get you the support, get you in that community, get you in there where you remind yourself and we get you back into your greatness. And from there, we can rebuild the second half of your life and make it better than you ever have. That's what I do. That's what I honestly believe I do better than anyone on the planet. And that's what I'm willing to do now for $111 when we find the right people. So let's get after it. If you've got a passion on your heart, let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks again, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Scott. Big love to you and everyone listening.